Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have got a fun new eyeshadow palette to share with you. This literally just showed up on my doorstep today. I got an NPR from Karity. It hasn't even launched yet. And I basically ripped it out of the packaging and immediately proceeded to photograph it, swatch it, and put it on my face. So this is the new Rosé All Day eyeshadow palette. It retails for $19. There are 15 shades in this guy, and honestly, I don't know what is up with my camera settings, but in real life, these colors look totally different from the way that they are looking in the monitor, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. So my plan is to eventually do a full review on this palette once I've tried it out more and can formulate some more thoughts about it, so I will be linking that for you guys in the description box of this video once that review is complete. But at least for today, I wanted to kind of do a first look, a little bit first impressions, and kind of just play around with this guy on camera and see what kind of look I could come up with. But before we get into things, I do want to say hello and welcome to any of you who are new here to my channel. My name is Lauren. Thank you so much for hanging out and playing with some makeup with me today. I upload new videos theoretically 3 times a week. It used to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I am thinking of switching that to Tuesdays, Thursdays, and either Saturdays or Sundays. So thank you to everyone who voted in my community tab poll. It was really helpful feedback. I will keep you guys posted on my ultimate decision of when I'm going to be uploading my videos moving forward. But I would say in the meantime, the best thing to do is subscribe, stick around, click the notification bell, because that will let you know every time one of my new videos is live. Will give you a little notification on your app or your phone. So if you don't want to miss any of my future content, do that. I also try to update you guys on social media, on my Instagram stories and things like that whenever I've got a new video that's up, or if I'm just testing, reviewing cool new stuff. I love talking about it on my social media platforms. So if you're not following me over on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, I would recommend doing that if you want to stay in the loop. And with all that being said, let me scoot you guys closer so I can show you how I created this look. Alright, we got the hair back in the messy bun situation. We are prepared to put on some eyeshadow. So Karity did send over to me their long-lasting anti-crease primer. It looks like this retails for $7, and I'm assuming that it is exactly as it says. It's supposed to make my eyeshadows last longer and not crease. So on first glance, you may think this is a squeeze tube, but actually when you open up the packaging, it has a doe foot applicator, which is kind of cool. Should be relatively easy because this is flexible to like really get all the product out. So I actually kind of like this style of applicator. So I am going to go in with the base right on the eye. We'll see how this applies. I usually just kind of tap my eye primer in with my finger as opposed to using a brush. It doesn't feel too heavy or too tacky. The texture reminds me of the Urban Decay Primer Potion, actually. Now I do have some concealer on my lid that I had set with powder because I usually just like to cancel out any darkness around my eyes, so that is the only other product that is currently on my lids. Okay, so here is the palette. It has the same kind of standard packaging that all Karity palettes have. It's cardboard, it has a magnetic closure. Inside you get a mirror, and then there are 15 different eyeshadows here that are all in this really pretty sort of pinky rosy tone, hence Rosé All Day. So one of the things I'm noticing about this palette on camera versus in real life is everything on camera right now is pulling purple, and I have no idea why. I've been trying to futz with my white balance for a while, so that's something I'm gonna have to adjust because these are definitely very pink toned. Definitely like this shade here, Hooray, is like a true coral. This is like a hot pink up here, and I feel like everything just looks purple on a camera, which is not. So I did swatch all of these shadows earlier today just to get a feel for them, and I will say that the mattes in this palette, they do feel very soft to the touch and finely milled, but they are a little powdery, not the most pigmented. They're much more buildable formula, and I think they're pressed a little more firmly into the pans. We'll see how much kick up there is with a brush. I feel like there might be a fair amount. I think that these are not going to go onto the eyes really pigmented right off the bat. That is kind of what I'm guessing. With the shimmery shades, these ones up here are more of like a pearl satin kind of finish. I think this shade Fizz and this shade Brute are more metallic. So these two pack a little more of a punch. Let me just like swatch for you so you can see. This is Brute right here. So Brut goes on really foiled and metallic and beautiful, definitely a statement shade. But if you swatch something like, let's say, this shade here, Pop Pop, this is more of a kind of soft satiny color that's not quite as impactful as that last shade. It's still really pretty, but I think it has a slightly different purpose. And then so you can see what I'm talking about. Like, let's try this shade down here called Drunchies, like Drunk Munchies. I'm pretty sure that's where that's coming from. And this is a beautiful color, and it does swatch pretty nicely. Like, it's smooth, it's not patchy, but it's not the most insanely pigmented shadow, which again, I really don't mind. Sometimes blendable is easier to work with on the eyes. So I'm ready to dive into this guy and see what kind of look I can create. All right, so I think I'm gonna start out with this shade here in the bottom left corner called Bottled Up. This is sort of a very soft, almost mauve-y pink tone, and I'm going to put that into the crease as a transition, just kind of blow it out, make it really soft. And Karity did send me a couple of brushes. This is the E30 brush, which looks like a little tapered blending brush. So I'm gonna see how it works. I haven't tried it out before. So let's see, if I swirl this guy around, really not too much kickback as I was kind of expecting. You do see quite a bit of product on the brush. All right, so I'm gonna start this in the crease. And I actually feel like the pigmentation is showing up pretty nicely. Like, I want it to be soft. That's kind of what I'm going for. But I was kind of afraid it might be kind of invisible on the skin, but that is not the case at all. So that's good. Now I do want to note I did not set the primer down. I did kind of let it dry, but I didn't apply any powder on top of it before applying the eyeshadows, and I don't notice any sticking or patching, which is good. I think this is a nice light shade to kind of help set down the primer in the crease, but I'm not noticing it doing anything weird, which I appreciate. So now I think I want to go into this shade here, which is called Sunday. This is a really pretty kind of rosy purpley pink color. I think this will look really nice just a little bit lower in the crease, just to add a little bit more depth. This brush does seem more fine, so I think it will be nice for more detail work. So I'm just gonna bring this guy a little lower. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but this one is kind of kicking up a little bit more powder in the pan. I feel like it is sticking to the brush fairly well, but it's a little bit more messy than that last shade was. Shade is definitely coming off more pink, but not necessarily deeper than that last shade. I feel like my edges are getting a little harsh on this edge, so I'm just going to take a clean brush and blend them. So now that shade I feel like went on less pigmented. Like, it's definitely looking purpley pink, but it's a more subtle wash of color. I feel like it's actually coming off as lighter than this shade, which looks way, way lighter in the pan, which is strange. So I'm gonna try to deepen things up in the outer corner a little bit. I think I want to try the shade called L'Chaim. L'Chaim to life. This one definitely is a little bit more of a mauve color, a little bit richer, so let's see how that one fares. I'm also going to grab another brush so that I'm not just putting all the same colors on one brush. This is a Morphe E17 brush, which is a small definer brush, so just gonna pick up some of this shade, and this one is not too bad with kickback. Again, this one I think is pressed a little more firmly. So this shade is definitely more pigmented, definitely showing up more than the last shade. It's not super deep, but it is adding something there. I'm gonna go back in with the Karity blending brush to blend these colors together so they're not so harsh. So I'm still getting a very like monochromatic look, I feel like, even though I'm using shades of pink and purple. I know my lids look kind of like a crazy hot mess right now, but that's because I'm planning on putting a pop of color there. Why don't we try this shade here called Fizz, which is a more metallic, really foiled shade. This is how it swatches on the finger. It looks really pretty. I'm gonna use my finger to just pop this on the lid. Yeah, that's nice. I feel like it's a little chunky, could probably do for some setting spray or a glitter glue. Okay, so for curiosity's sake, I'm gonna see how this shade applies wet. I've got another brush from Karity here. This is the E28 brush. So I'm gonna just pick up some of this product on the brush. So you can see this one is kind of getting powder everywhere. And I'm going to take the brush and I'm going to spray it with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus. And then let's go in. Oh yeah, that amps up the shine factor like mega difference. You guys see, like, foiled, not foiled, foiled, not foiled. Like, this definitely has way more impact when you wet it. So I think these shadows will definitely give you more bang if you use them wet. So I'm gonna go back in with that shade Sunday, which was the lighter pink. I'm gonna put that in the crease again just to blend out the edges. And then go back in with a little more L'Chaim here on the outer corner. I'm feeling like I want like just a little more depth. I'm gonna see how this shade Salud over here does if I add this to the outer corner, maybe because it's just a little bit more muted. Yeah, I think that is giving me a little bit more of what I want. All right, and I think I want to brighten up the inner corner of the eye a little bit. I think I'm going to use this shade Rosé, which is kind of a frosty pink. I'm going to take this on a little pencil brush. Oh, hello, highlight. Oh yeah, that definitely is packing on some shine. So I feel like we're looking pretty good. I want to add something to the lower lash line. I think I'm going to take Sunday on my Morphe brush, and I'm just kind of smoke out the lower lash line just with that pink a little bit. Okay, so here's what the eyeshadow is looking like. I think it's pretty nice, very girly, pink, fun. I don't think these eyeshadows were overly difficult to work with. Obviously the metallic shade really needed to be foiled for it to give its full impact. The mattes were kind of hit or miss. Like Sunday was definitely more sheer. Bottled Up was beautiful. That was that first transition shade we used. I did really like Salud. That one really did kind of give me that last little punch of depth in the outer corner that I was looking for. L'Chaim was a nice, pretty kind of purple shade. So overall, I feel like the end result is kind of soft, pretty, but still colorful. I'm not displeased with it for sure, but definitely I think it needs some final touches. So I'm going to, I think, put on liner, mascara, maybe some lashes, kind of zhuzh things up a little bit, and then I will be right back to give you my final thoughts. All right, and we're back. I've got my liner and lashes on. I definitely feel like those little last touches really pulled this look together. You don't necessarily need false eyelashes to make a look like this work. I think for me personally, I just have very large eyes. I have a lot of lid space, and I feel like my lashes can kind of easily get lost in my eyes, especially if I'm wearing winged liner. So I personally like to throw a pair of falsies on when I am doing a more glam look, but I think if you are not me and you have a different eye shape, you could probably get away with just wearing mascara. So as far as my final thoughts on this palette go, or at least I should say final first impressions thoughts, because I've only actually put this on my eyes once, so I don't really feel that's a complete review, but just in terms of my initial impressions, I think this palette is fun. You've got some really cool different colors to work with. Obviously, it's a little bit more monochromatic. It's a lot of pink and purple with some slightly more neutral tones thrown in there, but if you don't like pink and purple, this is not going to be your palette. I definitely think that the more shimmery shades probably need to be foiled. I mean, this shade Rosé that I put in the inner corners, I put that in dry, and that was really, really light reflective, but then Fizz here, this needed to be foiled. I mean, this shade Brute that I swatched earlier really did look very beautiful and reflective without any setting spray. So I kind of feel like in general, this is not the most consistent palette formula-wise. You probably are going to have to get to know it and get to know how all of the shades individually work to get the best looks out of it, but for under $20, I don't think the quality is bad. I like that you get the mirror in here. It's a pretty nice quality, so that's always a bonus. And I do think the shade selection like works pretty well together, so I'm really excited to play around with this some more to kind of formulate my final thoughts. Also, as far as the eye primer goes, I do feel like this was nice to work with. I didn't notice that my eyeshadow was skipping or dragging or patching when I applied the eyeshadow on top of this base, so this is also something I'm going to have to continue to experiment with. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you want to see more of this palette? Should I do like a couple Instagram tutorials or something like that? Maybe do some other looks or take some other pictures? Like I said, I definitely want to do an actual review with swatches and pictures so you can see the accurate colors of all of the shades, because I think on video it's not really picking up as well as I would like. So I will link that in the description box of this video as soon as it is live. Also, I will link and list all the other products that are on my face right now. If you're curious, I actually am using a Karity brow product and a Karity lip, so I will link the shades and all that information if you want to know what else is on my face. And with all that being said, I think this was a lot of fun. I'm liking how this look came out. It's very girly and fun. It's kind of got a spring summer type vibe to it that I'm enjoying. I definitely am looking forward to playing around with this some more myself and seeing what I think. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it and hope this was somewhat helpful for you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I always really appreciate your support. And again, if you're not subscribed and you don't want to miss out on my future videos, make sure you click that button before you go. So I think it's about time for me to clean up this giant mess that I have made in front of me. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.